Right guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In this one I'm just going to be showing you how to change the rear wheel bearings in your giant SLR2 disc rear wheel. So let's go ahead, let's run through the steps. So here we have the SLR2 rear wheel. This is found on various bikes in the giant range, this carbon fibre wheel. So first thing we need to do is get the bearings, change the wheel bearings and remove the disc rotor off of here. So get your, this is just a cassette lock ring tool for the disc rotor. So we'll remove that off of there. Now on the cassette side we need to remove the freehub off. Now with the cassette still on there like that, what you can do is just try yours by placing it down like that and then put your fingers behind the cassette and then pull up on the cassette, because the only thing that's stopping it coming off is the end cap on the end there. So if yours is, if you've regularly maintained yours, it should pop off when you do that. As you see there, that is comes off like that with the freehub body still inside it. Now if you can't get yours off, then the end cap has got probably just stuck on there, that's all it is. So what you can do is remove your cassette as you would normally off of there, and then the end cap will be sticking out, and then you can either put a piece of cloth over it and use a pair of pliers to try and pull it off, or get a vise, put some soft jaws in a vise and then clamp up the vise on the end cap and then pull up on the wheel. So clamp that in there like that in the vise and then pull up on the wheel to release the end cap off of there. If you can't pull yours off like this by putting your hands behind the cassette and popping it off, like I said, then it just slides off like that. See, the end cap is just sat in there. So once you remove that, you've got a spacer there on the axle, so you just slide that off, put that to one side, and then you can see the bearing down in there. And then if you turn the wheel round to the disc side, the cap on this side, same thing with that, you've got to get that cap out of there to carry on to see the bearing inside there. So we just remove that cap. So same thing with the this end cap. You can put it in a vise and pull up on the vise and pull that end cap off, or if you get a piece of cloth over it like that, a pair of pliers on there, you should be able to pull that off like that. So there's the cap off this side. Now you can see the bearing in here. So we go ahead, we get those two bearings out. So we've got two blocks of wood equal heights on the floor. If you've got a real sturdy bench, you can put the blocks on there to do it with. So what we'll do, we'll just put the wheel down on the blocks of wood. Obviously what we want to do is remove the disc side bearing first. So what we'll do, just put them down like that to protect the hub, because the bearing's got to come out down through like that. So if you've got it sat on one block of wood, there's no, you can't, the bearing can't come out. So that's what the two blocks of wood are for. So you just put that on there like that, and then what you want to do is hit down on the axle. Don't use a normal hammer on there because it's aluminium, you'll damage the axle and you won't get the freehub body back on if you do that. So use a rubber mallet or soft blow hammer on there. So there's the bearing out there, comes off the axle like that. You can just pull the axle through like that. So now we've got the bearing up in the right hand side where the freehub would be. So we go ahead and we'll knock that one out. So we've just got the one block of wood now, so all you do is put the wheel down on the right hand side like that, so the disc side's facing up. And then what you need to do is get yourself a 14mm socket. If you've got a short socket you can put an extension on this. If you've got a long socket you can just use that down in the middle like that. That goes down and rests on the centre of the bearing down inside. So there's the bearing out of the freehub side. So what I'll do now is clean up all your hub on both sides, get any old grease, dirt out of it, and then we go ahead and we'll refit a couple of new bearings. So we've got the hub cleaned up now, so what we need to do first on the freehub side there is just put a light coat of grease around where the bearing's going to sit, and then what you need to do is get yourself a couple of new bearings. So I'll put the size to them in the description below the video, just in case you want to purchase a couple. And then what you do is just put a bit of grease around the outside of the bearing, and on the side you're not going to see that's inside the hub, just put some grease over the face of that as well, just help keeps the moisture out of them. And then what we do is just get that bearing there, just sit it in position like that. You just push on it a little bit, just so it's sat in there, it's not going to go anywhere. And then we'll press that one in first. So go through from the this side. I'm just putting the that bearing in first of all. So on this side I've just got a blank on this side that just fits inside where the this rotor goes like that. And obviously you want the appropriate size press for the size of the bearing. So we'll just get that started and then press that one in. So when you go to press the bearing in, just make sure it's going in square, it's not going in crooked at all. Then you just go ahead and just wind that in all the way until it stops, like so. And we'll back this tool off and then we'll do the this side. So on the this side there, we'll just put some grease around where the bearing's going to sit to start with. Then you've got to put your axle back through, so in your axle, the freehub side like that, just put some grease around there. And then on the opposite end as well. And then the long part like that goes through from the disc side, and then through the bearing you just put in, like that. So it'd be sticking out where your freehub goes. And then the same for this bearing. What you do is you just get the bearing, just put some grease around it again, around the outside, just a light smear of it. And then again on the side you don't see what's going to be inside the hub, put some grease over the face of the seal, like that. And then drop that bearing over the axle and just push it down so it's seated in position there. Then we go ahead and push that one in. So now we've got the axle obviously sticking out this end, so just put the press through like that, and then you're going to have the axle sticking out of there. So obviously you can't use a normal press there because it just hits on the axle before it touches the bearing at all. So you just need an adapter like that, obviously, so it goes over the axle. To press it in, and then the same like that. That'll go over there, and then that'll push that ring in and push the bearing in. When you're doing this, obviously what you got to remember is make sure that the adapter is lined up with the outside of the bearing, so you're just pushing on the outside of the bearing when you press it in, to get that lined up on there. So you're only pushing on the outside of the bearing when you go to press that in. And you can go ahead and wind that in, and it'll push the bearing down inside. So you can push that one in there till it stops. So there's the bearing in this side and the freehub side. So we'll go ahead and we'll get the rest of it fitted back together. So on the disc side, before you put the end cap on and the disc rotor, put some grease over the end of the axle and over the face of the bearing in there. And then with your end cap, put some grease over that and just up inside it there on the O-ring. Then you can go ahead and pop that back on like that. Then we can go ahead and refit the disc rotor back on. So you can refit your lock ring. Then we go ahead and tighten that up. So you can torque that up to 40 Newton meters. Now we're ready to go ahead and refit the freehub side. So on this side, what you want to do is put some grease round on the axle. And then with your spacer, slide that over the axle like that. And just put some grease over that spacer as well. And slide it all the way down to the bottom so it's touching the bearing. Now if you removed your cassette with the freehub still inside it, then you can go ahead and slide that back on. Just make sure you check the pulls on the freehub and grease those. And before you slide the cassette on, put some grease up inside down inside the freehub there as well. So grease that before you slide it on the axle. And you go ahead and slide that back on like that. Now, when it comes to engaging it, if you push on the cassette and turn backwards like that, you might be lucky and it might engage straight away. If not, then I'll just show you how to get that engaged back into the ring in the hub. So if you're struggling to get the cassette in, what you need to do is, with a small screwdriver, down the back you can see the pulls sticking up. If you look down the back of the cassette, if you just push down on one at a time, then just push in, hold the cassette in at the same time, and then when you move round to the next one, just push down on that one, and then move around again, just push in, now it's gone in. And then when you've done that, the end cap, make sure you push the end cap back in as well. And you're ready then to go ahead and refit the wheel to the bike. So I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more cycle related content. Till next one, ride safe and I'll see you then.